A lot of people talk about optimizing artwork for DTG printing, so I wanted to take a moment to kind of explain what that means. I've opened up 4 files and I'm just going to go through really quick and optimize the color for each one. Keep in mind I've already set the image size to 300 dpi and I have sized it to print, so this one here is 14 inches. So the first thing is we go to the image bar at the top, adjustments, and levels. Levels are always the first thing I start with. When we open the levels, what we're basically trying to do, there's no exact science to this. I want to break down the peak over here and kind of get rid of this extreme edge on the left and this extreme spike on the right. For the most part, that's what I tend to do for levels. I'll bring it down a little bit. You see, the more you bring it down, the more you lose some of the finer details in the print, because we're making the darks darker when we mess with that left. So I'm just going to go halfway through this peak here, get rid of some of this excess. And on the light side, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to bring it in just a little bit. If I bring it in real extreme, you can see how it lights it up. I'm just going to get rid of that trailing edge there. Let's toggle between the preview so we can see the difference. We've lost some of the finer details, some of this little background effect right here, but in a way it creates a more vibrant print, so I'm going to run with that. The next step is we go to the images, back to adjustments, and hue and saturation. So the very next thing I'm going to do is adjust the saturation a bit. Now I'm going up to 43. Let's make it 42 because that's my favorite number. If we toggle between the saturation boost, you can see the difference in color. It looked good before. This was a good looking image, but if we add that saturation boost, it really brings out those colors and brings it to life. So on this first image, I did not create a duplicate layer so I could kind of see how the original looks compared to the second. For the next ones, we're going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go to the next image. I'm going to double click the locked layer and hit OK. Now we've unlocked it and we've created a layer we can edit. From here I'm going to right click and duplicate that layer, hit OK, and I'm just going to mess with the duplicate copy at this point. That way we can toggle back and forth and really get a feel for how much detail we're sacrificing for some of these adjustments. Over here again, this is what I would consider kind of the trailing edge of the dark. So we're going to bring it down. If I go too far, the tiger gets really dark. So we're going to go maybe about there. We get rid of some of the trailing edge, but not all of it. Same thing on the light side. We're going to bring it up just a little bit. Kind of toggle to see the difference. I may have gone a little too dark on the tiger because I'm kind of losing some of the detail in the face right here. So I bring it back a little bit, and I feel a lot better about that. That's going to lay a lot more ink down when we actually go to print that. Again, the second step is to bring up the saturation. Now that we've adjusted the layers, let's boost the color a little bit and see how that affects the image. Sometimes I'll do these adjustments and I'll discard them thinking that it was a waste of my time. But in this case, it looks like adding the saturation really brings out that blue and brings out the orange in the tiger. If we toggle between that, you can see the difference. We're going to accept those changes, and now we're going to toggle between the duplicate layer and the original so you can kind of see the difference here. So this is the final version. That's the original right there. All this blue background, you can tell we've really enhanced it. We've really enhanced the tiger. We may have sacrificed some detail, but this is the type of thing you need to decide when you're printing DTG, is how much detail you're willing to sacrifice in order to achieve a more vibrant print. Finding the right balance is critical. So again, double click the layer and hit OK. Right click, duplicate layer, hit OK. We're adjusting the duplicate, so we go to our image, adjustments, and levels. Let's try and get this guy out of the way so we can observe the details while we're making the adjustment. I'm probably going to bring the trailing edge here get rid of that peak right here, and I'm going to get rid of this peak over here. So let's see how we do. We're going to bring it down too much, bring it down a little higher. About right there feels good for me. Let's bring the lights up just a little bit. And let's see how that affects it. So we get a little more depth, a little more dark and light range, but we're going to boost the colors all the same. Again, that's a good looking print. If you look at it right there, the artwork looks really good. But once you adjust the saturation, that's where you really see that print come to life. So we don't want to go too high. I've gone to 42 the last couple times. Again, favorite number. It works out a lot of times. If I toggle, it looks great. You can really see the warmth in the skin, the red in the gloves. Let's toggle between the original. There's the original, and there's the adjusted version. You can tell right away that's going to print way better than the original version. So let's go to our very last one here. This one looks like it's primed for adjustment. I'm going to duplicate the layer. And again, it looks okay. This one doesn't look as great as the other ones. I can tell it's really washed out, not as dark as it should be. So we're going to cut off that trailing edge on the left, bring it to this middle point here. We're going to bring up the right just a little bit, kind of get rid of that little step. Maybe bring that down a tiny bit. Sometimes I'll mess with the mid-ranges as well. Again, this is not an exact science. You could take these mid-ranges and bring them up, bring them down. You can do a lot with this. In this case, let's just bring it down a tiny bit and see where we're at. Yeah, that looks better, but you could tell, you know it's coming. The saturation, that's what's going to bring it to life. So we go here to our hue and saturation. Let's boost this up. Went a little overkill there. 42 again. So here we go. Toggle. That's the original. It'll print okay, but this is really going to give you much greater color value. Each one of these adjustments we've made, it's obvious how great the final version looks. But when you look at the original, you could be fooled into thinking that it's a good looking piece of art. A lot of people run into this and they spend a lot of time trying to fix their print settings, when in reality they just need to boost the color in their art a little bit. When you output images from Corel Draw, you can kind of see this happen quite a bit, where the colors, when you output to a PNG, will not be as vibrant as what you saw in Corel if you were to actually open them in Photoshop. So going through and compensating for that loss of color is vital to getting a great high quality DTG print. This doesn't matter what machine you're using, what rip you're using, or any other details. Getting high quality art to start with is the most important step.